The new Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, is aiming to wipe out unnecessary government spending. Here's some cuts that they could consider. Check this out. Over $500,000 from the National Institutes of Health awarded to Russian labs to study cats walking on treadmills. How about $39 million to oversee DEI efforts? $50 million, I'm serious, to study monkeys, testing how they performed while on meth and injecting them with female hormones. $1.3 billion in checks sent by the federal government to people who have already passed away, and $7 billion wasted on empty federal buildings. Now, DOGE is beginning to recruit. They issued this tweet saying, in part, quote, "We need super high IQ small government revolutionaries willing to work 80 hours a week for unglamorous cost-cutting jobs." Here to discuss is CEO of the watchdog Open the Books, John Hart. Hey, John, thanks for being with us this morning. Let's talk about DOGE. We just walked through some of the more ridiculous ways the federal government spends money. But what we really want to know is, can DOGE make significant percentage-wise cuts to getting a more efficient federal government?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. The answer is absolutely. This is a brand new move or brand new commission, but this is already a movement. The American people are demanding more control over their tax dollars and their own destiny, because every dollar saved in Washington is a dream realized somewhere in America. So what we've seen is, for decades, politicians have been expanding federal agencies, but DOGE is about expanding your agency and your ability to pursue the American dream on your terms. So what we've pointed out at Open the Books is we've built the biggest database of spending in history. Mm-hmm. We have 10 billion lines of code, and you can very quickly get to $200 or $300 billion through some of the things you just pointed out. We can go after things like duplication in the federal government, improper payments, Medicare fraud, getting rid of DEI. We did some great reports on DEI, Department of Education, HHS.
Right.
And so once you do that, then what I think Elon Musk and Vivek are going to point out are new efficiencies, ways to use technology like AI to take those savings much further. And then once you win the support and trust of the American people, again, with this movement, this bottom-up movement, you can begin to look at these bigger ticket items like entitlement spending that you really need to think about reforming to get at $2 trillion.
Well, I want to share with the audience, you can take a look at the way that federal government spending has grown since, I believe it's since the 1960s up through today. And it's just, it's beyond inflationary. It is explosive. Vivek, for example, has talked about things like the number of federal employees obviously being inefficient and overbloated. But he's even talked about, Social Security numbers, every other, odd and even, letting people go within the federal government. And whether or not that's the mechanism or not, the point is there needs to be significant cost cutting, right, significant beyond just identifying the absurdities. Can we scale this thing down to efficiency?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Look, my boss, former boss, Tom Coburn, was on the Simpson Bowles Debt Commission. And he was able to get rid of earmarks and actually help bring about the only spending cut in American history since the end of the Korean War. And he didn't have Elon Musk on the side. He didn't have Vivek on the side, or even a president that was supporting what we were doing 10 or 15 years ago.
Right.
So when you have the American people at your back and you have Elon Musk, turning the bully pulpit up to 11, they can go much farther than we ever thought we could go 10 or 15 years ago. And look, and I think you have to think of this. This is not a demolition project. This is a restoration and renovation project. Imagine buying an old home that's been poorly updated, has bad insulation, and it was owned by a hoarder that had all the stuff. People can relate to that project of, let's renovate it. Let's bring back the original splendor of what this American idea is. And that's what DOGE is all about.